want to just tell you some of the supplies that I like to use when I'm preparing the applique pieces. Now, I use freezer paper. Now, freezer paper you can just get at the grocery store or the discount store, and it's over by the plastic wrap and things like that. The freezer paper, it has a shiny side to it. Typically with applique, they will use the freezer paper to actually cut out the shapes. But in this applique technique, we're going to use something different, and this is actually a water-soluble stabilizer. Now, it's not like a lot of the other water-soluble stabilizers that are going to, if you put water in them, they get kind of gummy and they completely go away. What happens to this water-soluble stabilizer is that after it gets wet or soaked, I'm just going to tear a piece here. I don't know if you can see these fibers. It actually just gets really nice and fibrous. It kind of reminds me of an old piece of flannel. And so during this applique process, this applique process, anytime after your applique is sewn down, then you can soak this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But this stabilizer that I use is an Inspira brand, and it's called Inspira Tear and Wash. And we're going to put a link just below that you'll be able to click on, and so that'll take you to the website and tell you a little bit more about this awesome stabilizer. So I use the freezer paper because I put the shiny side down and I iron it to my cutting board, and it just gives me a place to work because I'm going to use the glue stick, which we kind of talked about. Some of the other pieces that I want to show you with applique, you are either going to have a hill, which is kind of going around this curvy part here, or a valley. Now in this case, this is just one little V. So like in a heart, here's a little heart shape. So like in a heart or in a flower, you have this V. Now on the stem right here, here is a hill on the outside of the stem, and the inside of the stem actually counts as the valley. So the valley can be this really gradual thing, or it can be just one sharp point like in a heart. And so I'm going to show you how I am preparing the pieces or how I'm turning the seam allowances over actually. So we're going to put the glue here, and I'm just going to do a little bit at a time, and you want to be generous with the glue. And the first thing I like to do is push this valley down. Now sometimes the valley is sharp, and so it doesn't really work to put your finger in there. And so if you use your stick to actually just fold that over, or you can lay it down and just push that valley over. And so it just puts it really nice. Now if you're really close right here with your clip, you can actually come in later with a little bit of fray check or no fray. Now what we're going to do around here, we are going to be going around this hill or this sharp curve, and on a curve we are going to pay attention to this outer edge pretty much on all of our applique pieces. And so we're going to be easing in this fullness. Now if you notice, I'm kind of going over this a few times, and that happens quite a bit. It just depends on how dry the air is, how wet your glue stick is, you know, what's going on with your fabric. And so it's okay if sometimes you have to go over it a few times. But what I want you to notice is that I'm just paying attention to making sure that this edge is nice and smooth. See how all the rest of that is kind of ruffly? That's all that that's all that fullness being eased in. And that's okay. The iron is actually going to take care of that. So I don't worry about this raw edge. I don't worry about these ruffles. What I want to do is be concerned with this outer edge, and I want to try to make that as smooth as I can. And so you can kind of come back and smooth out with that stick. See, the stick has this nice little flat edge, and so you can really just go right along that edge, making sure that that's nice and flat and smooth. And so I'm going to heat set this just in this one little section. So you put that iron on there. You just be careful. You don't want to come in and swoop with the iron. See, I've still got steam. Usually I love steam, but not necessarily for heat setting, so we'll take that off for next time. And so the iron just took care of all that fullness, and so this is the important part. Look at that nice smooth edge. So on hills, you are going to be smooth, easing in that fullness, and then heat setting that, and look at that really pretty curve.